Okay, good afternoon to all, and thanks for listening in today. My name is Rasmus. I am an analyst here at ABG, and I have coverage of Danish banks. And among these is the topic of today's presentation, BankNordik, with banking activities in the Faroe Islands and Greenland, as well as insurance activities in Faroe Islands. Today, we are privileged to be joined by Torrid Age, who took over as CEO by the start of this month, but has been in the bank since 2007, if I'm correct, and in various positions. So we are well in hand here. And the agenda for the presentation is the first 20 minutes will be a presentation of BankNordik, followed by a few minutes of Q&A. So therefore, without further ado, I would now hand over the word to you, Torrid.
Thank you, Rasmus, and thanks for the introduction. I'm happy to give you this short presentation of BankNordik. Yes, we'll take that slide. Thank you. Well, we'll start with this brief overview of the group. We are, as you can see here on the slide, a full-service banking institution, activities in the Faroes and in Greenland. And besides our banking activities, we run our own non-life insurance company, a life insurance company, and a real estate broker. Those companies are those solely operating in the Faroes. We have approximately 200 full-time employees. And with respect to the markets, we have a leading market position in Faroes with a market share around 42%. And in Greenland, we have, you can call it a challenger position, where the market share is around 20%. So the growth potential within the two markets we see comes from the Greenlandic market and, of course, from the Faroese insurance market. Those two markets are quite, you can say, small, both the Faroese and the Greenlandic market. In the Faroes, there are in the Faroes there are 4 banks operating, and in Greenland only 2 banks. So it's a small market compared to the countries surrounding the Faroes and Greenland. Yes, could you please change to the next slide? Yeah, here you have the highlights of the first quarter this year. It's a bit difficult for me actually to see the whole presentation, but I'll just have a look at my own screen, and then I'll. Don't know if I know how to do that, but never mind. I'll just have a look here. I'll have the same. So here you can see the highlights for the first quarter, and as we say, we have a satisfactory development in our core banking operations. Our net interest income were up by 7% this quarter and 18% compared to the same period last year. And that's, of course, driven by higher interest rates. We also have the fee and commission income, quite a lower level this quarter, but on around the same level as the same period last year. Our net insurance income, you can see not as good as result as we hoped for in this quarter, and a lower result both compared to the fourth quarter in 2022 and also for the same period last year. And that's driven by higher insurance claims or increased claims during this first quarter of this year. It is so that when we live in the Faroes, we are surrounded by ocean in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean, as you saw in the previous slide. So occasionally we are hit by storms, and when these storms appear or occur, we often also see that they result in increased claims in our insurance company. Our operating costs are up a bit here in the first quarter, but as expected, nevertheless, compared to our budget. So if there's another area that's worth mentioning here is our net impairment charges on loans. As you can see, we have a reversal of impairment charges again, both this quarter and also last year, and that's due to a strong credit portfolio. That's the result in this reversal of impairment charges. So in general, a satisfactory development in core banking activities, and we see now this year, and also we also saw this effect last year, a better balance between income and costs due to some initiatives that we executed for almost 2 years ago, and we see the results of this now. So yeah, for the year we have guided a net profit. We have a net profit guidance of 210 to 14 million. Yeah, and we expect that we somehow the economic uncertainty and inflation that has proven strong must lead to lower impairment levels than we have seen. But so far, and we'll come back to that later in this presentation, it looks like both our customers and the Faroese and the Greenlandic economies are doing fine. So we have not yet seen that this has an effect on our impairment levels. If you could change to the next slide. Yes, thank you. We have our equity story. As you can see, we are a significant player in two attractive markets. Although they are small markets, they are attractive, and we have all the main financial areas in our company. Our strategic focus has been on delivering and improving a digital end-to-end customer experience. But we also want the customers to be able to, at any point in the customer journey, to request a personalized advice as to be in touch with that person, in a real person. And our focus is also on developing efficient organizations through digitalization and automation. A low-risk loan portfolio, as I mentioned just before, and historically we have limited exposures to risky sectors, but we'll come back to that briefly later on in this presentation. So and capital resources aligned with our targets. So basically, this is a summary slide on what kind of operations we are and markets we are operating in. If you could change to the next slide, page 6, please. Yes, we have our ESG reporting here. We have defined some targets on 2025 targets on ESG, as you can see in the table here on the slide. And we have defined, for instance, a target saying that we should have no direct carbon emission in 2025. And therefore, we are now phasing out all our petrol and diesel cars and converting from fossil fuel to sustainable energy, sources of energy in all our buildings. And our focus here is on towards the customers, is also on developing products that support this sustainable development in the societies we are a part of. We believe that we really can contribute to a sustainable transformation through our customers. You see a sustainable transformation of the Faroes and Greenland through the customers and their investments in sustainable solutions. So ESG is an area of priority for us and for all companies these days. And we have been working with this area since 2016. And for sure, there is more to come in the following years with respect to this area. Yes, could you please change to the next slide? Here you can see a more detailed information on our impairment charges. If we first take a look at the chart at the top right corner of the slide, you can see the net impairment charges and the development in our net impairment charges, where we have these reversals of impairment charges. We have a discretionary management estimate of 65 million. And that was originally recognized due to COVID, but now it has been reassessed, and we also have increased this estimate due to the uncertainty caused by war, geopolitical situation, and also the macroeconomic development. We still expect, though, that we are able to keep our impairments below the industry average going forward, although we also see that the reversal of impairment charges probably will stop, and we'll see a more normal level of impairment charges in the future. The chart on the top left bottom here, left bottom on the page, you can see LTV for housing loans, is showing that 68% of the value, loan to value for housing loans is within 40%, and then adding 25% more to levels on below 80%. So a very strong credit portfolio with strong LTV for housing loans. That is a significant area of in our portfolio. If we have a look at the last two charts here, we can see that we have a low-risk loan portfolio because of a well-collateralized loan portfolio. The middle one shows that the corporate sector is about 50% of our loan portfolio, and private sector 44%. And public sector consists of the last 7%. And if we take a deep dive into the corporate sector of 50%, you can take a look at the circle or the chart at far to the right, and you can see how it has been divided into the different areas or what's it called, sectors. So a well-collateralized loan portfolio within the corporate sector. Yes, could you please change to yes, the capital position, please? Yeah. So strong capital ratios. We have a focus on capital optimization. Our, as you can see, our target is 20% on capital target, and we are above that target at this area. So a strong position and a forward coming, and still a focus on optimizing the capital structure and the liquidity. And in order to do that, we plan to continue issuing senior non-preferred and or senior preferred loan here in later on this year. There are two areas in this chart that are like highlighted or light blue, and that is the first one is the profit that has not been reflected official number for the first quarter. So take them with that the profit into consideration. See the effect in this light blue chart. And the last one is a quick we call it quick fix incoming legislation that is expected to reduce our REA and has also an effect on our capital position. So we can end by taking a brief look at the Faroese and the Greenlandic economy. We see a strong growth momentum in the Faroes is highest ever exports, low unemployment, and the tourism has rebounded after COVID-19. Although, even though we see the strong growth momentum, there are some downside risks. Inflation, as seen in the countries around us, is also affecting the Faroese economy. Low consumer confidence, and Russia was the largest export partner before the war. But here we can see that the companies have been able to find new markets and to prices that are even in some areas higher than before. And that's also why the exports are at a so high level as we see now. So currently there is this agreement with Russia that where we, you can say that the agreement is the fishery agreement is an agreement where we swap types of fish between the countries. And that agreement has to be negotiated again or taken up to reconsideration again later on this year. And if you have a look at the Greenlandic economy, could you change? Yes, please, thank you. There we can see a more modern GDP growth and also decreasing unemployment, but exports in Greenland have not yet recovered, and retail sales are they were on a lower level in 2022, but here now in the latest number we can see that they're rising. They are rising again. 2 new airports are set to open here in 2024 in Greenland, and they are expected to result in a massive increase in tourism. But it will take years to build a tourism industry with a significant economic contribution. We have definitely seen that it took some years in the Faroes to do that. So we expect the same will be the case in Greenland. But overall, both Faroese and the Greenlandic economy that are in good shape and showing a good growth momentum, even though we face some risks as the countries do around us as well. I think that was the last slide in my presentation. If you change the slide, please. Yes, it was. And I have almost used my 20 minutes. So I think we're up for questions now.
Yes, thanks a lot for the presentation. Let me kick off the questions with what we can call the hottest topic in all banks at the moment, and the net interest income. You've reported 7 to 8% growth quarter on quarter in both Q4 and Q1, while the reporting line of investment portfolio earnings has also been highly positively affected. So I was wondering if you could possibly dig a little deeper into your interest rate sensitivity and what we should expect for the growth rates in the next 2 to 3 quarters, based on your fixing of rates and times before we see full effect from the rate hikes we've seen, at least so far.
Yes. We have 2 announcements of higher interest rates that we have announced that have not been haven't had effect yet. The first one will be effective in May and here during this month, and the second one in June. So the full effect of those 2 announcements we will not see until we reach the 3rd quarter. Of course, as you know, the expectation of the future interest increases are lower now. You're not expected to see the same increases as we have seen almost the last year. So therefore, we also expect that our growth rate will be slower in the future when we look at upcoming announcement with respect to interest rates increasements. Yes. What was the last question you asked me, Rasmus? You're muted. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just overall the growth rates for the next 2 to 3 quarters based on the rates we've seen so far. So I think it was answered to the most parts. Let us just head to your growth strategy then. Maybe if you could elaborate a little bit on the market conditions and how you will grow compared to the large competitor in Grønlandsbanken, and how much more organic growth you see as possible from these 20% market shares coming from double-digit growth in the last years, and possibly also touch a little bit upon the likelihood of establishing your insurance activities in Greenland and the investment case in this, if possible.
Yeah. You can see we have had this growth focus for some years now in Greenland, and our focus is, of course, organic growth. So it's a oncoming stable growth we are into and looking into. Very much like depending on when we look at the different projects in Greenland, you can see because the market is relatively small. If there's a large project like the airports, they can have some large effects on the financing opportunities in Greenland and other sectors that see a opportunity when the airports are in function. But our strategy is to, of course, keep on the same focus as we have had for the last years, and keep on, you can say, the ongoing work in respect to both corporate and private clients. So it's not, it's a continuous focus on, you can say, a stable organic growth we are into when we look at Greenland. With respect to insurance, it's correct that we have our own insurance company. Could maybe be a possibility to expand our insurance activities to Greenland as well. But as we are at the moment, we are there's a legislative issue that actually does. We're not able to enter the Greenlandic market at this point in time. We need to get this what you call it, we need to have like an okay from the governments and the institutions taking care of those issues before we can enter the Greenlandic market. So that is not a possibility at this moment right now. And we are, of course, investigating and looking into what opportunities we have with respect to that area.
Okay, thanks for that. Maybe the last question, we have a couple of minutes. I would like to touch upon the cost side of your equity story. How would you paint the picture for 2023 and 2024, and how much of the assumed cost increases would stem from wage increases and IT costs, respectively, in a time where a lot of talk in the sector is centered around trade union agreements, at least in Denmark, and AI and stuff? Yeah, it is a challenge to keep our costs down, and we can see that wages, there's a cost increase on wages on around 4%. So that we have a factor in our budget as well, of course. But when we're looking at the agreements we have with, for instance, IT companies, IT partners, IT agreements, we can see that there are costs. The costs are rising more than 5%. So it is a challenge for us to keep costs down, as we do want to, and that is our strategic focus. With respect to IT solutions and our focus on IT solution and IT development,
the new digital solutions or robotics that we are working on. We're not into AI yet. Don't know when we'll be that, but we have robotics as a area inside our company, and that is the use of robotics does make. If you go back for like 2 or 3 years, we had employees doing these tasks that we can see robotics, the robotic technique has taken care of now. So introduction of these new solutions or possibilities within IT, we can see can bring our costs down with respect to employees. So that is our focus going ahead, using solutions and techniques that can enable us to help this effective cost organization.
And if we should just quickly touch upon capital, finally, you're very well capitalized at the moment, and I just wanted to touch upon if it's likely to expect dividend payout ratios above the 70% you've calculated with a slightly longer term view, or the CET1 ratio at around 20% is also an applicable target for you beyond 2024 when this target is set to expire?
Well, our ambition is to keep our CET1 target ratio on 20%. So we are above 20% at this moment, but we still have this ambition to reach the 20% also in the long run. So that is the plan for now.
Okay, very clear. We are also a little past the 25 minutes, so I think this concludes today's presentation. Thanks to all for listening, and Turid, thanks a lot for joining us today and giving this presentation of the investment case in BankNordik.
Thank you.